that's okay to change your mind, or that's okay to meet somebody else and fall in a different kind of love and this deeper love.
Friends, it's me, Mirab, and I welcome you once again to Starspill USA, your trusted space for all the latest drama, heartbreak, healing, and revelations from the Brown family saga of sister wives. What a journey it has been, my friends. For more than a decade, audiences have followed Kody Brown and his wives Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn through the trials of plural marriage, through the highs of fresh beginnings and the lows of bitter goodbyes. This season, though, has been unlike any other. It has been a storm, a roller coaster, and at times a tragedy, but also a story of rebirth, new hope, and resilience. It has reminded us that life, even when shattered into pieces, can still be rebuilt into something new, though never without scars. The Brown family's experiment with polygamy was once sold as a vision of togetherness, unity, and faith, a testimony to how love could stretch across multiple households. But today, the cracks have widened into canyons, and what remains is no longer the polished dream Kody once preached, but the raw, messy reality of broken promises, bruised egos, and women who are learning, perhaps for the very first time, that they can stand strong on their own. This story, as we unravel it together here on Starspill USA, is not just about plural marriage. It is about identity, betrayal, grief, healing, and the pursuit of happiness after devastation. The season opens with words still echoing in our minds, words that felt less like dialogue for television and more like confessions carved out of the deepest recesses of a heart in turmoil. I keep thinking that you and I could make this work. What about you and me? The longing in those words, spoken with a mix of desperation and denial, paints the portrait of a man, Kody, clutching at straws, unwilling to let go of a dream slipping away. And then, just as quickly, the cold reply that cut like a knife. We have had so many conversations where I've said it's done. We're done. We're not compatible. It was like watching a marriage collapse, not in silence, but in front of cameras, with every viewer becoming witness to the final nails hammered into the coffin of their relationship. The chasm between desire and reality has never been wider for Kody Brown. He asks Robyn, with eyes hollow yet still pleading, "Will you accept me as monogamous?" A question heavy with implications. A question that once upon a time would have been unthinkable for the man who built his identity on the very foundation of polygamy. And Robyn, caught between her loyalty and her heartbreak, whispers that it is not what she wanted. Those words, fragile yet firm, tore through the image she had cultivated, the dutiful wife, the believer in plural marriage, the one who is meant to carry the torch of Kody's dream when others faltered. Suddenly, even she admits that the calling she once felt, spiritual witness that drew her into this marriage, has faded. And with it, the very fabric of their chosen lifestyle has unraveled before our eyes. What was once a house of unity has turned into a mausoleum of fractured dreams, haunted by memories of what could have been but will never be. The tension within the Brown family is not a mere quarrel. These are not small squabbles over chores or disagreements over money. These are seismic shifts, tectonic plates of love and resentment colliding violently beneath the surface, shaking everything that once seemed stable. "Gosh, you're out of control," someone yells in frustration. And it is a raw reminder of how far civility has slipped away. There are times they butt heads, oh, yes, absolutely. But these clashes are not momentary flare-ups. They are the signs of deeper wounds, wounds that have festered too long without being healed. Janelle, with her calm wisdom and quiet strength, looks out at the Arizona landscape and declares, "I love Flagstaff, but it's time to do something different." Her words may sound simple, almost casual, but behind them is a lifetime of compromise and disappointment. A yearning to shake off the dust of past mistakes and finally breathe freely. Yet, as always in the Brown family, change is not welcomed by everyone. Robyn sits in her confessional, looking confused and excluded, confessing, "I don't know how to explain this. It was never intended for me to know that Janelle was moving." How ironic that in a family built on the premise of open communication and shared living, major life decisions are made in silos. leaving wives shocked, blindsided, and hurt. The great big family Kody once preached about his so-called vision of love is now reduced to splintered individuals, making decisions for themselves because trust has disintegrated beyond repair. And then there is Mary. Oh, Mary. The first wife, the woman who gave decades of her life to a dream that betrayed her in return. In her confessional, she smirks with humor, but also resignation. Oh, I don't know. I need to find a man. Now I'm 52. How bittersweet those words are. For years, she stood by Kody's side. Through jealousy, through scandal, through emotional neglect, holding on to a marriage that gave her more pain than comfort. Now, at 52, she finds herself in this strange and uncertain world of singlehood, navigating the terrain of dating that she never imagined she would enter. Yet even in her sarcasm, there is resilience. There is a flicker of light in her eyes that says, I may be alone, but I am not broken. I can still find love, friendship, and purpose. But you have room for people to be in your life, too, she adds. And in that simple declaration is an ocean of meaning. It is an invitation, perhaps to herself more than to anyone else, to believe that her story is far from over, even if her chapter with Kody is finished. Christine, too, has her moments of both sorrow and triumph. When her daughter relays the gut-wrenching words, Dad said he didn't love you, the impact is devastating. Imagine the weight of such a confession falling from the lips of a child. Christine's heart, already bruised from years of rejection, is forced to confront a truth that she had always suspected but never heard spoken so plainly. And yet, Christine does not crumble. She reaches out, urging Janelle to reconnect, to keep the lines of love alive, even amidst betrayal. It is a moment that shows the duality of Christine's spirit, a woman deeply wounded, but also fiercely protective of family bonds, even as they fray. And it is this resilience, this refusal to let bitterness fully consume her, that has carried her into a new life with David. A man whose love is gentle, joyful, and healing. Watching Christine laugh with David over a mispronounced word like Tuscan soup may seem trivial, but it symbolizes everything she has gained. The laughter, the easy banter, the playful corrections, it is the kind of love she never had with Kody. A love built not on duty, but on delight. She says with a radiant smile, "Soup is my love language, and we, the audience." See in that moment a woman reborn, finally free to live and love on her own terms. Yet even amidst this newfound joy, grief casts its shadow. Christine and David speak tenderly about their first year of marriage, acknowledging that it was not without pain. The death of Garrison, Janelle's beloved son, was a heartbreak that cut through every household. Photos of Garrison flash across the screen, and Christine's voice cracks as she admits, "I miss him every day. I bet you every day." The rawness of her grief echoes through the family, binding them in sorrow even as physical distance separates them. The Browns are now scattered across the country. Christine in Utah, Janelle in North Carolina, Maddie there too, Gwen still in Flagstaff, Mary in Parowan, and Kody and Robyn holding on to a shell of a life in Arizona. Their geographical spread mirrors their emotional isolation, each living in their own world, connected only by memories and pain. Garrison's death has become a mirror, reflecting the fragility of life and the consequences of wasted years. It has forced them all to confront truths they once buried under excuses and rituals of faith. Meanwhile, Coyote Pass stands as a silent monument to their failures. What was meant to be their dream property, their Zion, their forever home, is now an overgrown field of broken promises. Kody fumes in his confessional, blaming Mary and Janelle for not cleaning up, for leaving behind messes, for expecting him to shoulder burdens he no longer feels obligated to carry. His words drip with resentment. "I'm not motivated to do that. Not for them, because they haven't been kind." How telling that kindness is now a bargaining chip, a currency to be traded rather than a foundation of family life. Janelle, in her quiet but firm way, counters that it feels like he is simply trying to put the blame on her shoulders, refusing to take responsibility for his own neglect. And so the cycle continues. The blame game. the finger pointing, the endless back and forth that has defined so much of their shared history. Coyote Pass, once a dream, has become a nightmare. A wound that refuses to heal because it was built not on love, but on fantasy. Amidst all of this, Christine thrives in her new role as grandmother, cooking fun meals for her grandchildren, showering them with love, and reminding us that joy can be found even in the smallest of moments. Janelle, too, is carving out a new life in North Carolina, exploring her surroundings, taking classes, joining community events, and slowly, cautiously putting herself back into the world. Her journey is not about finding another man to replace Kody. It is about rediscovering herself, building a community, and proving to herself that she is capable of happiness on her own terms. Mary, managing her bed and breakfast in Parowan, has found a rhythm, a measure of contentment, though the scars of her past remain visible. And Robyn, once the unquestioned favorite, now sits in her confessional admitting that even she no longer feels the pull of plural marriage. Her tears, once viewed as manipulative by many viewers, now feel more like the tears of a woman who realizes she has tied her life to a man whose dream is dead, whose empire has crumbled, and whose family no longer wishes to be part of his story. Robyn sat in her Flagstaff home, her children bustling around her, but the silence of absence was deafening. The once noisy, chaotic rhythm of the Brown household with laughter, fights, overlapping conversations, and dozens of school bags scattered across the floor had narrowed into something far more confined. It was now just her, Kody, and their children. In a quiet confessional, Robyn admitted what she felt daily. For the most part, it's just Kody and I and our kids. You know, I nag him about interacting with his other children. He pushes back, tells me to give him space. But other than that, it's just us. Her words revealed both intimacy and loneliness. What was once a plural marriage meant to multiply love had instead shrunk down into isolation. One household struggling beneath the heavy weight of estrangement. Robyn tried to build bridges, nudging Kody to reach out, to connect, but he often resisted. And each time he resisted, another crack formed in the fragile image of togetherness. The contrast to the past was striking. Old footage flickered across the screen, school mornings in Leahy, where chaos was the norm. Mothers darted about, one grabbing backpacks, another hustling kids out the door. Christine yelling instructions, Janelle rushing to work, Mary holding firm to schedules. Children scrambled, some helping younger siblings, others barely dressed in time. Robyn's voice layered over the archival scenes, carried both warmth and sorrow. School years ago. School mornings were like a crazy thing because some mothers were off to work. Some mothers were getting kids ready for school. And some kids were getting themselves ready for school. The nostalgia was unavoidable. Back then, there had been stress. Yes, but also unity, a village raising its children together. Today, the stillness of her kitchen told another story. Now Robyn was the one urging her own kids to eat, to take vitamins, to not spill their juice. She moved from child to child, attentive, deliberate, bearing a responsibility she admitted she hadn't always carried. I really wasn't that involved with getting my clan ready for school before, she confessed, handing toast to one child and adjusting the backpack of another. I was at work, but now it's me. It's bittersweet. She smiled faintly, but her eyes betrayed the weight of her words. The central figure she had become was not by choice, but by necessity. Then came another flashback, the Leahy years. A packed home, shared meals, laughter in the backyard. Children running between rooms, mothers sitting together at the table. Robyn's voice softened with memory. The Leahy experience. It was really special. The simplicity of the statement said everything. Back then, they had been a unit. Now, she sat in a quieter house. The echoes of that past both a comfort and a haunting. Kody's voice broke through next, firm but strangely resigned. In a confessional with Robyn by his side, he revealed what many viewers had long suspected. There's this strange thing that Rob and I were in plural marriage together. It all came together, and they all just left. Like, we're monogamous, but we didn't choose that. It was kind of chosen for us when my exes left. His face bore the lines of fatigue, his shoulders heavy with a sense of loss and defeat. This was not the victorious patriarch of years past, but a man wrestling with abandonment and an unwanted label. Christine, on the other hand, had no regrets. In her own confessional, her voice was clear, almost defiant. "I did not choose monogamy for Robyn because I chose me. Like, I didn't have a relationship with Kody, and I barely had one with Robyn. And I wasn't willing to do that just so she could say she lived polygamy." The power in her words, "I chose me," symbolized everything that had shifted. Once defined by a plural marriage, Christine had reclaimed her narrative, carving out a life where her happiness mattered more than keeping up appearances. Back in Robyn's home, she guided her children with a patience born of habit. Vitamins laid out on the counter, small reminders of health and care. She instructed them gently, "Go eat vitamins. Try not to spill, bud." She reflected candidly on the difference. "I think because he had so many wives, he didn't have to check in the same way as you would as a monogamous person." In their new reality, Kody was around more often, embedded, she later described, and she was holding him accountable in ways that never existed before. Kody, doing the school drop-off, showed a surprising tenderness. He handed over equipment, tucked his phone into his pocket, and playfully scolded Saul about safety. "I was very devoted to my family life before," he admitted, "but now I'm embedded in it." Embedded, the word hung in the air. For years, he had floated between households, always in motion, always dividing time. Now, there was no division. But with that came scrutiny, as Robyn noted ironically, with plural marriage. "You'd think you would need more accountability, but I think I'm being held more accountable now with Kody." In another confessional, Kody stated bluntly, "I'm now in a different marriage than I've ever been in." The words were simple, but they marked the tectonic shift from plural patriarch to monogamous husband. Still, there was unease. He admitted to Robyn and to the cameras his lingering fear. "I've been concerned that somehow or another I'm diminished in Robyn's eyes because we haven't had an easy 3 years going through all of this." For a man whose identity thrived on control and admiration, this admission of insecurity was startling. Robyn, too, revealed the pressure she carried. Family members still asked her whether she and Kody would consider plural marriage again. The question gnawed at her, reopening wounds she was trying to heal. "It's a very personal thing because it's such a big decision. I'm not sure what's going to happen," she confessed, her uncertainty reflecting the storm still swirling around them. Meanwhile, the other wives had moved into new chapters. Mary, with a blend of nerves and determination, stepped into the world of speed dating. Practicing with Jen, she laughed awkwardly, poking fun at the strangeness of the process. "I've said for a long time I would really, really, really love to meet somebody organically. And this is probably almost as organic as I'm going to get. Salt Lake City speed dating event is where it's at for me." Her humor masked nerves, but there was bravery in her choice. She was no longer waiting on Kody. She was stepping forward on her own terms. Christine's world was filled with new light. Surrounded by family in North Carolina, she celebrated with David by her side. Laughter rang out as they raced playfully, teasing each other with affectionate banter. David's ego, his bluster, unlike a cheetah, amused everyone, but his love for Christine was undeniable. Where once she had endured indifference, she now basked in attention, in partnership. Janelle noticed it too, pointing out the similarities in personality between Kody and David, but also recognizing the difference. This time, the love was real. For Janelle, the focus shifted to land, legacy, and dreams. Standing with Maddie and Caleb, she marveled at the aerial map of their sprawling new property in North Carolina. "I have wanted property, our farm, and rural life since I was a little kid," she said, her voice tinged with fulfillment. They laughed about names for future roads, eventually settling on Bob Boulevard, a tender nod to Garrison, forever Uncle Bob in their hearts. Plans for a flower garden, a barn, and a memorial dedicated to mental health struggles transformed grief into purpose. "He'll always be here. He will be represented here for sure on this property," Janelle promised, her words carrying both sorrow and hope. The Brown family had splintered, yes, but from the fragments. New stories were forming, stories of resilience, independence, love, and healing. Robyn and Kody clung to each other in the quiet of their chosen monogamy. Christine and David built a love story full of laughter and life. Janelle embraced land and legacy. Mary dared to hope again. Each path diverged, but each spoke of survival. Of what it meant to step out of the shadows of a plural marriage and into the uncertainty of the future. This season of Sister Wives has been a whirlwind of emotions, laughter, heartbreak, and personal growth. Showcasing every layer of the Brown family's complex dynamics. Mary's journey into the world of dating was both hilarious and profoundly relatable, as she navigated the anxiety-filled realm of speed dating with her friend Jen, who imagined every possible scenario. What if the men froze like deer in headlights? What if they had nothing to say? Or what if they just stared blankly? Jen coached her with humorous but supportive guidance, helping Mary practice her introductions, energy, and timing. "Hey Mary, I'm Edward," she said during their mock date. And Mary replied, "See me for a match." They laughed, practiced matching energy, and slowly Mary gained confidence. When Mary finally stepped into a real speed dating event, she owned her brief but confident introduction. "I'm 54, single, ready to mingle," demonstrating her determination to embrace a new chapter of life. The events that followed were a mix of comedic encounters and introspective moments, such as meeting Bob, who quipped about the unusual spelling of her name, and Thomas, who revealed his past of having 4 wives not at the same time, which made Mary pause, reflect, and wonder how to reveal her own past. At what point in a 6-minute date do I say, "Oh, by the way, I was divorced from a man with 4 wives and my family has 18 children." Her vulnerability was raw and relatable, highlighting the careful navigation required when sharing her unique history. Mary also reflected on past hurtful experiences when men rejected her upon learning about her polygamous background, underscoring the courage it took to step back into dating and the deliberate approach she now chooses in forming relationships. "If I were to ever have another relationship, it's going to be somebody that I know for a while. And they'll know because it's not a big secret." Meanwhile, tensions and candid conversations continued to define Kody and Robyn's dynamic, especially surrounding the complexities of intimacy and plural marriage. Kody admitted in a frank and somewhat uncomfortable exchange, "There's something I want maybe more than you do," revealing his struggles with sexual satisfaction and the differences between plural and monogamous desires. Robyn confronted him directly, calling him a pig and challenging his objectification of potential new wives, while Kody tried to explain his perspective, highlighting the fear of replicating past mistakes and his requirement that any new wife must show unwavering devotion to Robyn without competition. Their back-and-forth discussions explored deep-seated emotional and relational complexities, balancing past regrets with future possibilities. Robyn also voiced anxieties about the lack of a religious framework for a potential plural marriage, emphasizing her desire to avoid drama and protect her emotional well-being. And ultimately, both navigated toward a clearer understanding of monogamy in their current life. Kody, struggling with abandoning part of his identity, admitted, "It is hard. It goes against some things in me," while Robyn's hesitant but eventual agreement to monogamy marked a pivotal moment in their journey, demonstrating growth, compromise, and cautious optimism for the future. On the family and property front, Janelle, Maddie, and Caleb explored raw land in North Carolina, dreaming of a space to bring the family together with small cabins, bonfires, and shared memories. Christine playfully teased about creating a friendly rivalry over who could host more family gatherings, while Robyn expressed support for the dream yet noted her own disinterest in rural life. Kody, ever pragmatic, reminded everyone that the goal was a large, functional space for all, rather than competition. Emotional highlights included Janelle planning to recreate a cherished photo of Garrison by a bonfire, honoring his memory with laughter and love, and practical steps like clearing the land with controlled fires symbolized the process of burning away the old to make way for the new. Small, tender moments like dinner dates between Kody and Robyn showed playful intimacy, teasing and self-awareness, highlighting the softer sides of their personalities amidst tension and past struggles. Robyn reflected on her public image versus her shyness, Kody's showmanship, and the importance of mutual support, even referring to herself as a sister, which with humor and pride, which added lighthearted balance to heavier storylines. Meanwhile, the season also focused on property disputes, spiritual reflections, and emotional confrontations. From the tense negotiations at Coyote Pass to heartfelt attempts at reconciliation, each family member wrestled with old wounds and emerging aspirations. Mary, embracing life with renewed courage, prepared for speed dating, writing notes, observing practical details, and maintaining openness to the unknown. I just have no idea what to expect. Meanwhile, Kody attempted healing with Mary, Janelle, and Christine, navigating apologies, past grievances, and ongoing relational complexities. Christine was firm in her refusal to reconcile with Kody. Janelle stressed fairness in property dealings, and Mary cautiously expressed boundaries with Kody, marking a season filled with growth, confrontation, and reflection. The season masterfully intertwined humor, tension, and heartfelt moments from awkward introductions and candid confessions to planning dreams and asserting personal boundaries, painting a rich, multi-dimensional portrait of a family redefining itself. From speed dating anxieties to the raw honesty of plural marriage debates, from playful rivalries to emotional land projects, the Browns showed resilience, courage, and the messy beauty of human relationships. This season reminded viewers that life is rarely straightforward, that love and family are complicated, and that embracing new beginnings requires honesty, vulnerability, and heart. The Browns' journey continues to captivate, inspire, and provoke reflection, leaving viewers invested in every laugh, tear, and heartfelt confession. If you loved this deep dive into the season, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow Starspill USA for more recaps, insights, and behind-the-scenes moments from Sister Wives.